Senator Wellman, can you talk a little bit about the importance of voting and why it's so important that we vote, and all of the women who kind of fought for the vote and why we shouldn't just let that fall by the wayside?
We're coming up on the centennial, which is 100 years since we had the right to vote. And of course, we've seen a lot of the stories of the suffragettes and the fight that went on for many years before this actually came into law. We have the right now. We have lost some of the appreciation of what it took, the battle to get here. I mean, women were beaten up, women were imprisoned.
I really see voting as a sacred right and a responsibility because I want to participate in making this country the best that it can be.
I have a lot of conflict with voting because I feel like I don't have a voice.
I guess I felt like I was taking more of a stand not voting.
You have a privilege and a responsibility, and the most important thing that you can do for yourself is to get a good education and to vote.
It was so heartening to see the response of women after the last federal election, the last national election, where women said, hell no.
Yep.
No, we're going to be there. We're going to be at that table. We're going to be making decisions.
Sharing with other people who say, well, how are you getting involved? What are you doing to change our futures?
We have to have the diversity of thought at the table. Mm-hmm. Those differences have to be there. Mm-hmm. It's crucial. Mm-hmm. When I hear the phrase, take a seat at the table, I say, thank you, I was already planning on it, and I'm bringing 2 other women along with me.
To me, means that I am part of the decision-making process.
It could be an operating room table. It can be the boardroom table. It can be whatever, wherever decisions are being made. If they're not at the table, that voice isn't at the table. We do better when we all do better.
Mm-hmm. We have to educate our population in the United States without them coming out with these huge debts.
What are we going to do to create the future that we want, right? And so it starts with conversation.
I don't feel like I have as much of a representation up there because I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't know as much about that world, and they don't know as much about my world. So I think that we need a lot more range in the Congress and other parts of the political system too.
In order to have a more inclusive and more diverse government, it requires us choosing people who are diverse and including everyone in that opportunity and encouraging other people to do so, to feel empowered to run for office and feel like they can make that sort of change.
AOC gets shamed for being a waitress.
She had a real job. She understands the pressures of working 2 jobs and trying to make ends meet. She understands. I appreciate her. I love her.
One thing I wanted to add, when you asked the question, it seemed like such a large question and I didn't know how to answer it. And once she said vote, it's just such a simple answer. And it would change everything and make it more diverse. So I think it's interesting how wide that question seemed to me. I can also say, because as I said, I am starting to rethink about how this is all happening and all these people talking to me and telling me their opinion is really changing my beliefs on politics and voting.
Is it making you feel that voting is more important than you first thought it was? Perhaps?
I definitely do. Just hearing about representation and how important that is. I've known how important representation is, but now I'm really seeing how much it plays into politics.
I'm adding on what you said.
Yeah.
That the white cis males, they're counting on us not voting.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's really important, especially with the rights that I care about, especially abortion. I want to fight for that right and keep it because it's crazy how fast things can change.
I was one of the people that, I said earlier, I didn't vote because I did feel like it was making a statement. And I feel I still do feel like if I do vote, either way, it's just one voice, and the fact that we send it in to be like analyzed and then somebody else ultimately makes the decision, I feel like I still don't really have a voice, because if he disagrees with my, or the editorial person, if they disagree with what I said, well then they're gonna go with the other candidate anyway, so like how was I heard? But that's why I think that more people do need to like be educated on it and stuff up, and we need more voices heard in the, I think it's called the editorial election too, or like whoever we send it in to.
Electoral college.
Electoral, yeah, that's it. I don't know what to say. Yeah, that's it.
Coming up on the 100th year anniversary of women's suffrage in 2020, thinking about that, what do you think that the women who fought for the right to vote would think about our system right now?
I personally believe that they would be, I don't want to say ashamed, but I think that they wouldn't feel proud of where we're at. And I think that it's partly because of, you know, people like me that didn't vote and people that are on the fence about it.
I think the women that fought for this, the white women that fought for it initially, and they got the right to vote, and then eventually then women of color got the right to vote. They collectively, intersectionally would be sad where we are today, because their fight, if you read about it, it's exhausting. Just even reading about what they went through to get what they fought for us. And to know that women were not voting or that their rights were being taken away, it would be appalling. It absolutely would be appalling. And they would be hurt.
It's very eye-opening hearing your thoughts on it, especially because, again, when you ask the question, I didn't know the answer. I don't know what to say or how to respond, and when they answer, it's just so crystal clear.
We need to talk more, I think.
Definitely.
I completely agree with everything being said, and it's becoming clear to me that this issue, it really does depend on voting for those who will be in office, and going back to what we talked about before, increasing that representation and diversity and putting people in office who value young people and want to invest in young people and ensure that everyone is able to receive that education and do what they want to do.
In the United States, we value individualism a lot, and so by choosing to not vote, you are making a choice. But when you think about the community of women as a whole, it's important to, you know, use your vote to help everyone else. I think I agree with what you're saying, or I hear what you're saying, and that you feel like you don't have a voice. But by choosing to not use your voice, you are affecting other women, because we're not banding together to say, hey, we have something to say, because they won't. You're right, they won't listen to one of us, but if there's enough of us who care about each other and support each other, then, you know, they're gonna listen, because they have to, because we'll show up and we'll be like, hey, we're here and we have something to say and you're wrong.
'Cause I wanna be a free woman, I wanna live with free people, 'cause it's my privilege and my pride to be my sister's keeper. I wanna be a free woman, my sister.